This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Bergamy.
Well, hello there. So good to see you again. This just in, breaking news as we say in the business. We are here to serve you, not ourselves, only you.
That is 100% correct. And once again, we've got a great show for you. Coming up, not the news you want to hear during the holidays. The fact that food prices could increase even more. Why diesel fuel, or better yet, a lack of, is being blamed for it. The annual Poultry Tech Summit. In just 5 short years, it's grown to include representatives from 10 countries, while showcasing the latest innovations and technologies. Hear what could be a possible breakthrough in dealing with salmonella. And then later, it's a special look at the Georgia cattle industry as told through the eyes of ABAC's own Dr. Mary Ellen Hicks and her husband Doug. The great lengths they go to in order to care for both the animals and the land in which they graze. These stories and so much more starts right now on the Farm Monitor.
Well, first order of business, your wallet. And right about now, it's looking pretty lean, right? Yeah, mine too. Well, this doesn't help matters. Diesel fuel at a premium, meaning Georgia farmers could be affected along with you, the consumer, in the form of higher grocery bills during the holidays. This comes after Mansfield Energy issued a supply alert citing poor pipeline shipping economics and historically low diesel inventories. Georgia Ag Commissioner Gary Black telling WMAZ in Macon another factor for the shortage in the U.S., exporting diesel to other places that have a higher demand for it. Meantime, with more than 1 billion head of chicken being raised in the state each year, poultry is big business here in Georgia. And with that number constantly on the rise, keeping up to date with the latest technology is essential in maintaining efficiency. Devin Jones takes you out to this year's Poultry Tech Summit in Fulton County, where the newest innovations were on full display.
Accounting for nearly half of all agriculture within the state, keeping the poultry industry running at peak efficiency is vital to Georgia's economy. That's the purpose of events like the annual Poultry Tech Summit, where leaders from a number of different sectors got the opportunity to check out some cutting-edge technology within the industry.
This is bringing together in a very unique forum researchers, those in commercial companies, the producers, and the early innovators, those that have early stage intellectual property, early stage IP, to come together for the advancement of these technologies to move the industry forward.
It's been amazing to see how quickly the tech space has moved on, and it's really events like this that bringing partners together, not only from the technology innovation side, but then also with venture capitalists, and I'll say the truth checkers, those folks that will be using and buying those technologies in the field, bringing them all together so that they can give this iterative loop of feedback and expedite that development curve.
That communication, which has been sorely lacking in the past, can be used to troubleshoot some of the major issues facing the poultry business today.
That was highly necessary in order to move forward, be efficient overall in the advancement of these important technologies, delivering on animal welfare issues, food safety, worker safety issues is an emerging part of the mix. So all these, and of course on the forefront is sustainability or carbon net zero.
That's the focus of the numerous projects being presented at this conference, which provides an opportunity for those in attendance to help with advancing their research.
Some of them are looking for partnerships, others are looking for different trials, as we've heard already, on farm to expand their research, and others are looking to, in some cases, be acquired. Or some sort of funding mechanism in order to move forward. We have a number of success stories across the spectrum on each of those from past Poultry Tech Summits that have all been held here.
As for what exciting advancements have been made within the industry, it's technology that will be beneficial on a number of different fronts.
This morning we're talking a lot about the microbial space. So we had examples on presentations today of how we can expedite our learning curve on what salmonellas are actually present within the field, but then also prevalent through processing. Some of our old methods of quantification of those really have not allowed us to get in tune and be as quick to respond to some of those specific serotypes of salmonella as a challenge. The other is really data capture, so that we're able to react much quicker to respond in terms of well-being or health of our birds.
Reporting from Fulton County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
While North Georgia is mostly known for its apples, grapes have become a popular commodity in the region as the landscape and climate make for ideal growing conditions. John Holcomb reports on one operation in Gilmer County that's seen great success as a popular agritourism destination with great wines and a great atmosphere in which to enjoy.
Vines as far as the eyes can see and beautiful grapes ready to be harvested and made into wine. That's what you'll get here in Ellijay at Cartacay Vineyards, an operation that after much consideration, planning, and hard work since their start in 2007 is now thriving as they grow several different varieties of grapes that are used to produce what they believe to be superior wines.
We grow 2 American varieties, 3 hybrid varieties, and 2 European varieties, and all of that was planned. We grow 3 whites, 3 reds, and 1 pink. All of that's planned out, and all that lets us make different kinds of wines. We can make dry reds, sweet reds, dry whites, sweet whites, blushes, and everything in between. And the idea there is anyone walks into our tasting room, we want to be able to provide them at least one wine that they like to drink. So if we have a bunch of different styles and different types, and they can at least find one. I think right now we have 12, maybe 13 different types of wine, and that was the idea behind planting the grapes, where we planted them, what we were going to plant, and how we're going to harvest.
For lichens, though, growing grapes and making wines is just one piece of the puzzle, as it's important to them that when people come out to the farm, they get a wholesome and enjoyable experience.
When people come, they want to hear the story about who we are and why we planted our grapes here and why our wine is this way and all these other different things that go into our wine. Because every winery is unique. It takes on the personality of the owner and the people who work there. Our winery is Southern Appalachia. Our barn, we call it our tasting barn. It's a circa 1890 structure. Our outdoor patio's got a circa 1890 chimney on it where people sit and we have live music for people every weekend to sit out there. And the experience is they can sit in the patio, enjoy some wine, look up into the vineyards, and just relax and enjoy their experience. And going back to our festival we had in the middle of September, it's our annual Crush Festival. This year was our 11th annual Crush Festival. It's a big festival. We bring in vendors. We have multiple big bands, multiple vans, food trucks. We do vineyard tours. We got a tour trailer where we drive around the vineyard. I think it holds about 25 people. We drive around the vineyard, give a really in-depth 20-25 minute tour of this is this grape and this is that grape and this is why we do this and this is why we do that. You enjoy the wine better when you know where it comes from and how it's made and what all goes into that.
According to lichens, however, the best experience they can give people is by making great wines they will enjoy, but can only be done with quality grapes, which is why they strive to grow the best crop they can each year.
When you take a grape into the winery, you can make the wine only as good as the grape is. Meaning if you're the winemaker, you can mess it up and make it worse than the grape is, but you can't make it better than the grape is. So we work really hard to farm good grapes. So when we take them into the winery, we can make superior wines.
Reporting in Ellijay for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
After the break, the beef unit at ABAC. It's an impressive facility, but so are 2 people who help take care of the animals. You're going to hear from the husband and wife team of Doug and Mary Ellen Hicks and why they are so passionate about the Georgia beef industry.
U-Garden is more than just a farm. It's a community. Built by and for students in 2010, U-Garden connects students' passions to the university's neighbors and the planet. Students earn class credits while learning to grow organic food and herbs in a way that honors and protects the environment through sustainable farming practices. In addition to the hands-on education students receive in the field, U-Garden also fosters an entrepreneurial spirit. Each week, students have the opportunity to sell the organic produce and herbs they grow at an on-site farmers market. But U-Garden isn't just for students. There are full-time employees and student workers who rely on U-Garden for their livelihood. Since 2010, hundreds of volunteers have contributed more than 42,000 hours of their time to keep U-Garden running. Over time, U-Garden has evolved to be so much more than just a place for students to learn while getting their hands dirty. The accomplishments extend far beyond the farm. Because at U-Garden, sustainable food systems aren't just about environmentally friendly farming practices. It's also about ensuring that everyone has access to healthy food. U-Garden partners with the UGA Student Food Pantry and the Campus Kitchen at UGA to provide fresh produce to students and Athens area residents who are struggling with food insecurity. Since 2010, U-Garden has donated over 100,000 pounds of produce for distribution to the Athens area community. But now, U-Garden needs you. It's time to give back to this space that has given so much to the Athens area and beyond. Please consider supporting U-Garden through service or donations so this thriving campus community can continue to educate our students and nourish our world.
Well, this week, it's a special look at the ABAC Beef Unit, courtesy of our friends at the Georgia Beef Board. A story not so much about the unit itself, but the animals that occupy it and the two people who care for those animals. Two people who have a lot of love and admiration for what they do and for the Georgia cattle industry as a whole. And two people who have a lot of love and admiration for one another.
I love seeing everything that's a part of the cattle industry. I love the people that are involved with it. I love the animal interaction with the people and the people with the animal. The joy that you see with people when they realize that they do enjoy being around these animals and seeing how they can respond. I love being in this, especially from the educational aspect, because I love seeing what the students go on and do and what kind of influence they're going to have in the future. There's just so much satisfaction to it. In talking about the facility design here at ABAC, our beef herd manager, Mr. Doug Hicks, who does happen to be my husband, he spent quite a few years taking a look at other facilities and talking with producers about what works and what didn't work for them. He also took into account that we're working with young students that may not have had any animal contact before. And so trying to think about student safety and think about animal safety and using this as an educational facility and knowing that there was going to be a lot of animal movement, maybe the same animals over and over again.
Designing the facility, you'd want to keep it low stress in mind because the comfort and the stress level of the cattle needs to be taken into consideration because that is also your business. That is their comfort and their safety just makes good business sense. So, you know, if it's going to be a rodeo every time, you know, you're working money off of them, working the profit off of them, working weight off of them.
We're caretakers of those animals, just like parents are caretakers of their children, and they're going to take the time to take them to the doctor, and the doctor recommends that for this problem that antibiotics are the best course of action. Without those antibiotics, they're going to get sick. We're going to take the same approach from those animals. Those animals are in our care. If we determine through interaction with our veterinarian that antibiotics are the best course of action, then to keep those antibiotics from them is equivalent to saying that I'm not going to offer you a way to combat this disease and to get rid of it. I don't see where any parents would do the same thing to their children because they're going to be concerned enough for that child to get better. I'm not saying that we treat these animals and as they are our children, but they are in our care, and that's our responsibility. If there's something that we can do for them, then we are responsible to do what we can do.
The humane treatment to the cattle is important to me because it's just the right way to do. You know, it's the right way to treat these animals. We are making a living with these animals, and so the least you can do is show them that respect back, that they are producing food and fiber for, you know, so many people, and that's the least we can do is show them that respect back to them.
Well, to the value of the producer, for me, it makes working with these animals so enjoyable. And I already enjoy it, but it just makes it even a more enjoyable experience. I work with animals that are healthier. I'm not having to think about these animals getting sick. I'm not having to think about, oh, well, I really dread going in and maybe having to get these animals up to vaccinate them. It makes life so much more enjoyable. And as a consumer, I'm also thinking about it from the standpoint, I've got a better product in the end. I've got a product that's a healthy product, and it was just produced in a fashion where it really should have been, you know, it really should be produced. I know that from what we've seen here, and it's hard to kind of talk about without breaking up, whenever it bothers people to the point, and students and us, to where we, if we see that there's an issue with the animal and it affects us, that tells us we care. And if you're willing to spend the time, which I've seen people do, and put family vacations to the side, and sometimes they're late for their children's baseball games, or it tells me they care.
The Georgia Beef Board really takes it a step farther, as, you know, working with the actual product. So many people always consider themselves working just with the live animal, but there is a larger continuation of this product, and they are able to help the producers also to understand what the consumer is wanting. You know, education on both sides, both for the consumer that may not have any agricultural background or experience at all, but also to help the producers understand the way that the consumers are thinking.
That's critical. We know the nutritional value of beef. We know how it can fit in. The raising of the animal to produce the meat product is very beneficial to Georgia's economy and to our environment. But the key of the beef board itself, to keep beef on that table and to keep it in front of people and to let them know how it can benefit their lives, that's, to me, that's the real aspect of the beef board.
So much passion for what they do. Well, when we come back, UGA professor Dr. Scott Tubbs on determining optimum replant methodology for cotton.
My name is Scott Tubbs. I'm the cropping systems agronomist with the University of Georgia, located on the Tifton campus. The idea of this research project is to assess how a farmer would replant if the necessity arises from having a poor plant stand at the initiation of planting. So we have a check plot where we have a 2.4 plant per foot average plant stand initiated from a May 3rd planting. And then we have half plant stands that were initiated at the same timing and we came back with a replant effect that was initiated at 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and 3 weeks after the initial planting. We also assessed this in a late planting scenario where the initial planting was May 25th, and then we have a similar 2 week, 2.5 week, and 3 week planting after the initial planting in those same populations. When initiating our replant treatment, we offset the planter approximately 2 to 3 inches to the side of the initial row so that we don't interrupt the growth of the initial plants that are growing. We're just trying to supplement that plant stand by putting additional seed next to the original plants. What that does for us scientifically as well is allows us to determine the difference in plant stand that was initially up versus the number of replant plants that have come out of the grounds. When we add a supplemental replant, it boosts the plant population compared to what it was initially. With that, it causes the plants that were initially there to grow more upright, and it is going to cause a height differential to occur at this stage in the season before we've put on plant growth regulator to shorten those internodes. An additional aspect of this project does take into consideration economics. So when our initial plant stand is completely terminated and we replant at a full seeding rate, that is going to increase the cost of seed that is put out in that field. It does keep the maturity uniform, so there is a benefit and advantage to doing that, but there is the disadvantage of the cost of seed. When you go into a supplemental replant scenario by just trying to add additional seed to an already existing plant stand, you can reduce the seeding rate, which does help you economically, but it causes a difference in maturity between the initial plants and the later plants in generating when to apply different chemicals like a plant growth regulator, and later in the season determining the optimum time for maturity. The current status of this project, we are about halfway point in the season, and many of the initial replants will show large gaps in the plot where there's skips in stand. But where we replanted, there's areas where those replant plants come up, emerge, and fill in some of those gaps, which is going to hopefully help us with gaining an overall yield that boosts compared to if that plant stand, the initial poor plant stand, was left alone and carried out to full yield potential at that stage. We don't anticipate that the replant plants yields will be quite as good as if the initial plant stand was solid to begin with, but it should certainly supplement and benefit the farmer in the replant scenario compared to if they had not gone back and done a replant situation. So the hope is the benefit of this project will help the farmer to make a decision if they end up with a poor plant stand at initial planting as to when is the best timing to replant, and eventually future aspects of this research will look at different plant populations and the seeding rate that's used for different plant populations at those different timings in order to increase and benefit and boost the plant stand that was initially out there. So our research programs are often funded by grower-supported dollars through either the Georgia Cotton Commission or Cotton Incorporated or both. Those types of projects are what keep our programs running, and they're really the lifeblood of applied research in being able to get short-term answers, very quick answers that can be applied to the farmer in a very quick turnaround within just a year or two.
All right, our thanks to the Georgia Cotton Commission for that, and from all of us here at the Farm Monitor, thank you for making this show possible.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor. Stay safe and have a great week.